pressure, I could never choke. You do what you can, I do what I want. I don't mean to brag, I don't mean to boast, but I gotta tell the truth, I'm the GOAT.
And the search for that trophy continues as we get ready from Texas Motor Speedway for practice and qualifying for the Cup Series. And this will start the second round of the playoffs alongside our crew chief, Steve Letarte, driver Dale Earnhardt Jr., Rick Allen with you on pit road. Another one of our drivers, Parker Kligerman, will be calling all the stories from down there as we have 2 practice sessions that will take place with the different groups. And they have been reset. The points once again reset after the first round of the playoffs. Chase Elliott is still at the top with his 40 playoff points that put him up there. But now just 12 drivers. Remember, we've eliminated 2 champions. 2 former champions were eliminated in Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch from the first round. And right now, Chase Briscoe, Alex Bowman, Daniel Suarez, and Austin Cindric, they are below the cut line before this race even gets underway. The big story really with this round has to be starting at Texas, but the next round or the next race is Talladega and then the Roval. So that makes this race so much more important to not have a bad race to start this round off.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Talladega is always scared the Cup drivers in the playoffs, no matter where it is, and so that's. You know, that's a race that you just don't know what you're going to get out of. Even if you have a great car and run well all day long, you can get swept up in just about anything. And I think everybody can go to the Roval and kind of understand or anticipate or know about what their performance is going to be. And some aren't going to be happy about that because they don't perform well at the road courses. You know, the guys that do, they're going to go there and know what they can accomplish and feel good about being able to do that. At Talladega, you do not have that luxury.
I want to see who finds the momentum, right? The points have been reset. Some guys had a great first round, and with the points being reset, it doesn't look so good anymore. Can they regain that momentum they had?
Starts right here. Practice is next from Texas. It's practice and qualifying today, and then tomorrow, Countdown to Green starts at 2:30. Cup Series playoffs at 3:30 and 7:30. NASCAR America post-race show. We see the cars rolling out onto pit road. We talk about Countdown to Green and look forward to Ryan Blaney joining Junior and Jeff at the front of the grid. He was the winner of the All-Star race here early this year. Ross Chastain, the Watermelon Farm family, and winning. We'll dive into that a little bit more. And Denny Hamlin, how it happened. That's the race back when, Steve, you were a part of the crew swap, the pit crew swap between the 48 and the 24. We're actually seeing a lot of that. We were seeing it just recently with the 11 and the 18 team. They have done the pit crew swap there as we have Denny Hamlin advancing into the second round of the playoffs and the 18 of Kyle Busch not. As we see Kyle Larson on track now. He had a very interesting take on this racetrack earlier in the media center. Didn't really hold back as far as how he felt about this racetrack. He said it'd be okay if they just demolished it and started over.
Yeah, I think he wanted something like a 3/4 size Bristol built, but here's the reality of the situation. That's not ever going to happen. They're never going to change the footprint of this racetrack. They're not going to tear down the grandstands and redesign the whole front straightaway. They're not going to take down the condos in turn 2. Or the big house is going to stay. Yep. So you got this footprint to work with, Kyle Larson. That's what you got to work with. So what do we do with this footprint? How can we improve it? Do we revert back to the old 1 and 2, leave 3 and 4 as is? That really has been the major complaint from just about anybody, is that the change in turn 1 did not deliver what everybody anticipated, right? And we had a really, really good racetrack at this race, at this place before we changed turns 1 and 2. So, everybody's going to have different opinions about it, Parker, but this conversation is going to get heated up as we go forward because this change is coming one way or another.
right, Dale? And I just think the coolest thing about this place is trying to do something different, right? Everything's bigger in Texas. Let's do something that when you come here, when the drivers come here, you think the only place they could do this is in Texas. And I just want to welcome the viewers to the surface of the sun, by the way. Speaking of, I'm sorry, actually, that's Texas Pit Road that we're on right now. But it is very hot here. You guys mentioned things heating up. It's about 90 degrees right now. All the teams and drivers talking about that heat because they're wondering about that grip level that you're going to have where Kyle Larson is right now, down in turns 1 and 2. When we were here for the All-Star race months ago, it was basically flat out around this place. But now with this heat, with a tire change, a lot of the drivers saying there could be a lot more lifting down there in 1 and 2. So trying to get that car to work, find that grip, and sort of make it work down there. But I think one thing I'm just going to put a sort of an idea out there. Why not just bank that outside groove like 10 degrees? It's all the way out there. Maybe it'll be like you could run the bottom faster or the top. It'd be kind of cool.
And Parker talks about the heat and how hot it is right now. They're expecting it to be 96 degrees, and that'll be the hottest Xfinity Series race, which is going to be run this afternoon ever at Texas Motor Speedway. And it's interesting, we're at the end of September, and we're having these incredible heats, which I think it really makes it even more difficult for a crew chief, Steve, as far as you come here and you've got obviously a little different configuration. You've got a traction compound, but now you add the heat to this racetrack. And what do you do as a crew chief to get your driver comfortable?
Well, it's funny, all this conversation about changing Texas, and the difference between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, I actually think is a great opportunity for a crew chief to do something different, to find an advantage, to find a car that can be very good at one end versus the other, and maybe find an advantage over the competitors. You bring the heat into that, Rick, and now that makes turns 1 and 2, I think, an even more difficult set of corners because it's already flatter, which has less overall grip. Then when the surface temperature goes up, the grip goes down even more. So it's not going to be fun to drive through there, but we're not looking for fun. We're looking for competition. Who could do it better than someone else? So as we see Logano right here, he's going to turn in right at the bottom, get right down to the white line, this very flat end of the racetrack, out of the gas, trying to make the car turn. Now he's going to go down to what, Dale, you and I know for.
Still good. Keep it up here for a few more laps.
For old Texas, right? So here you go. Now this end of the racetrack, look at the throttle. Out to part throttle. So now we go back to 1 and 2. Watch his throttle and brake. I guarantee it down at this end, he's out of the gas completely, may even touch the brake a little bit. I guess that's my only conversation is before we talk about changing, let's just watch what the race looks like. I mean, I'm not sure if I know what the race is going to look like. The All-Star race was very early in the season. It could look much different.
And the temperature. You mentioned the temperature, Rick. I think the hotter temperatures running this race in the middle of the daytime will put on a better race. That will be a slicker, slower racetrack, more off throttle, more opportunities for drivers to create runs and be able to pass each other. When they ran this race in the All-Star event early this year, it was late in the evening, finished at night. Speeds pick up, grip picks up. Passing becomes harder when you go through the corner faster. And so, I think we've seen the big difference that you have at Charlotte running a race during the day, such as the Xfinity race, versus running a race at night. And we have a wider racetrack in the heat of the day, and that's what I think the drivers enjoy, and the fans see a better race.
Now that we're down to 12 drivers, are you seeing a favorite kind of stick out here at this group? Is Chase Elliott that favorite because of all of the playoff points that he was able to accumulate through the regular season?
Hard to say there's a favorite. It's hard to pick who's going to win the championship. Chase has the best opportunity to get to the Final Four because of those playoff points. But I don't know that he is the standout. I don't really think there is a standout. Other than Christopher Bell, he got the most points in the first round here. That guy right there is just tic-tacking it to death. He's just doing it just enough, right, to push himself forward. Is that enough to go to Phoenix? Can I say he's going to go to Phoenix and dominate that race? I can't say that. I think he goes to Phoenix if he's in the Final Four and runs second, third, or fourth. I don't see him out there winning races, but he's doing enough to push himself forward. Nobody's really out there standing out to me.
Yeah. What I learned in the first round is no one's safe because Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, 2 champs, they're out. So what I'm willing to say is I might not have a favorite, but any of these 12 could be eliminated.
Tyler Reddick out on track now. Again, this is Group A practice session taking place. There'll be a Group A, Group B, and then qualifying. 2 rounds of that to follow. Stay with us. On this warm day in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we have the Dale Jr. Download coming up next. Then it's Countdown to Green. and Xfinity Series playoffs from Texas right here at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. That is the start of the playoffs for the Xfinity Series. That's all wrapped up with the NASCAR America post-race show at 6:30. It's going to be a warm one. We mentioned earlier Christopher Bell and the momentum that he was able to gain putting together 3 good races to start off the playoffs for his team. And can you keep that momentum going as we watch him circle this track? Currently 10th fastest for a lap at 29:19. Shifting at this racetrack, will we get into that on the longer run?
Yeah, I think by yourself, qualifying, and even right here, like Christopher Bell running out here in clean air, I think he can carry enough momentum through 1 and 2. 3 and 4, I don't expect to see shifting, but down at 1 and 2, flatter, slower into the racetrack. So right there, what do we see, like 177 mile an hour minimum? Let's see what the minimum speed is down here. I believe in traffic, you could get bottled up around the bottom here where 4th gear would be an option. Look at that, it's 15, 20, call it 18 miles an hour slower. So the speed's the key, right? You're going 18 miles an hour slower. That will probably allow you to reach over and put it down into 4th.
Parker.
And I was just listening to the radio there of 20 of Christopher Bell, and Adam Stevens came on and said, I think we need a 10th or 2. And so now Christopher Bell is going to come down pit road and try to make some adjustments on this 20 car. You see him 10th on the board right now, and I'm looking, flat time's falling off, and it seems to be he's about 2 tenths off from the faster cars that have run even more laps from him. I don't know the condition of the car, but they're going to come down here and try to make some adjustments and find that 2 tenths are missing.
Eric Almirola out on the racetrack. I know that we have talked a lot about the number of winners already in 2022, and Eric Almirola, could he add to that number, make it an even 20 different winners in 2022?
He's in that list of guys who haven't won that, he shocked us last year with a win at New Hampshire, and I mean, you can't. I'm afraid if I said he ain't going to do it, he goes out there and he's going to do it, right? But I don't know. I don't have I think my confidence is with a guy like Martin Truex Jr., Blaney, maybe even Keselowski because of the performance of RFK over the last several races. They seem to be peaking or getting much better. They were pretty competitive as a team in the All-Star race, and I think they're better now than they were then. This guy right here, though, had an incredible car in the All-Star race. No one was faster than Ryan Blaney. I rewatched the whole thing this morning, and there were a couple big moments for him where he got moved out of the groove. Guys were taking his line away. He was upset about that. Made some contact with some guys during and after the checkered at the end of some stages. He was really set. He was really in a terrible mood, it seemed like, and that's what I think vaulted him to the win, was that sort of, frustrated, aggravated sort of approach and prodding along throughout the event. He had a really fast car. Once he got out in the lead, it was impossible to get around. He's good here. I think you have to have him in your fantasy lineup, right, Steve?
I would suggest it for sure. You mentioned the run in the spring at the All-Star race. But just, the Fords in general, this is a track where you're definitely out of the gas in 1 and 2 a lot and touching a little brake. I think it's going to be good to have a Ford in. Now, is Chris Buescher one of those Fords in this 17 car? I don't know. Great run a week ago, and he deserves the tip of the hat because he went out and kind of sealed off a victory. That was a great pit call to get some track position for 2 tires, put him on the front row over a bunch of 4-tire calls, and Chris then did what he needed to do by keeping the lead. And I've seen some people say it was a surprise win. I think that's almost a little bit of a slap in the face to RFK in the 17 car. Now, I didn't have him picked for Bristol, but it's not like they showed up from nowhere.
Right.
They have run better and better as the year has gone on. We had him on NASCAR Motor Mouse this week, and he talked about it on Monday, what it was like to drive under that checkered flag. Remember, the first race win he had was due to weather, and it still counts. I'm not taking anything away from it. But, Dale, that moment, driving under the checkered flag, the crew jumping off the wall, he kind of missed all that in his first win. So his second career win, he got to experience it.
And what an experience it is to win at Bristol. You go up on top of that building, you get an incredible trophy, the sword. I mean, you're as close to the fans as you'll ever be in any type of victory celebration. The entire place is right there on top of you. It's a great place to win.
Buescher still enjoying that, but again, it's the next race, the next weekend, and how will he perform here at Texas? Cody Ware in the garage area, and yes, that's damage to the right front. Take a look at how it happened.
He's just really high, it seems like. It's hard to tell, but it's way far off the corner. I'm not sure, Junior, when you take a look at it, I mean, I would think at that point he's almost done with lateral and the thing continues to spin around. Maybe he's just too high and had to put a little extra wheel in right on corner exit.
Yeah, one of the things that we find with the resin is as they run, we've had, Xfinity practice here, a lot of cars running laps, all the debris off the tires just goes into the next groove and sticks to the track. So where the cars run in the treated part of the track, right above that is really, really treacherous. And as the weekend goes on, that gets worse and worse. Any kind of movement up out of the groove into that is going to be a definite, crash spin. And that looks to me like you got the right rear, the right sides up out of the groove into the dirt, Parker.
Dale, to add insult to injury, he had recently come on the radio talking about how loose that race car was. I mean, he just didn't have that grip in the right rear. So you have a loose race car, you go up into that sort of the rubber up there that's in that resin, and you end up having a situation he had off the corner. No grip.
No grip, and into the wall for Cody Ware in this first group session of practice. And NASCAR has told us that they are going to add 3 minutes because that was about what was on the clock when Cody Ware got into the wall.
That's the biggest challenge of this split practice is this issue right here. The idea of split and track condition being better for one than the other. I'm fine with all that because it's pretty random whether you're in 1 or 2, right? They just take last week's metric, split it down the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. The issue is this isn't a track condition thing, right? When you have an accident and you go under yellow, how do you make sure each team has at least the same amount of time? That's really the biggest challenge, I think, for NASCAR with this split practice. Not as bad as the oval as some of the road courses. We've really seen the challenge.
Yeah, to me, I mean, the most frustrating thing, when I'm in the driver's seat, I'm thinking that the track's changing all day. Every minute of the day, the track is changing. It's dynamic. And so any kind of change that's I don't feel is favorable to me,
right,
and an advantage for someone else is frustrating.
Denny Hamlin has been out on track in this group a couple times, but only 8 laps in the session. Listen into his radio.
We just got to really work on the disconnect between 3 and 4, 1 and 2. I'm pretty tight now through 1 and 2, and I'm still on a razor's edge through 3 and 4.
All right, there you go. That's why I like the variety from the 2 ends of the racetrack, because Chris Gabehart and Denny Hamlin have a car now that has 2 issues. I'm really tight, front end not working in the flatter end of the racetrack. Then I go to the other end, and I am chasing the back, worried about the back the whole time. So, there's a lot of things that go into that, but now you're a little bit of a box, and I don't want it to be easy. I'm okay if it's not fun. Like it's a challenge. It needs to be a challenge because someone's going to have an advantage if that's what he is fighting. Reddick has run 20 laps straight with about 0.8 of a second of fall off, to your point about day versus night. I believe if this was a night practice, he would have had a 0.5 second of fall off, right? The daytime, Parker, as you lose grip, it goes away much quicker. That's why I think the sun, as you put it, the surface of the sun is going to make that grip even harder to come by.
Well, it's funny you pointed out Reddick, because obviously Hamlin is 8th on the board as he fights that disconnect. But take a listen to Tyler Reddick, who's first on the board, and what he's experiencing between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Gets through the bumps in 3 and 4 really good. It does this weird thing where sometimes off of 2 feels like it floats the nose off the corner, but then it kind of recovers. Positive again, late exit. So I think it's doing pretty good over there.
And he would go on to say basically it was doing the same thing in 3 and 4 on the exit. So maybe a more consistent car, Steve, to your point, right? Because you have 2 vastly different corners. If it's consistent at least all the way around, that can be a more comfortable car to drive, and you have more speed like Tyler Reddick has shown in this practice.
And a bigger sweet spot, right? Now when I get in the race, Dale, you're not telling me, oh, don't free it up because I'm going to wreck at that end. But, if you got to be the same adjustment at both ends, I have a better chance of keeping you close for 500 miles. But I do love when I hear race car drivers say, well, I think, right, it's not a guarantee. I mean, that's okay. It's okay that they're not 100% sure. And we'll see. We'll see if this 11 can fix it. Currently sits, 8th on speed. Short practice. Goes by in a hurry. Got a couple minutes here. He'll probably get 4 laps in.
And Hamlin only 8 laps, whereas Tyler Reddick, when we were watching and listening to him, 22 laps for Tyler Reddick. Quite a big difference there.
Back out.
And another issue, spin.
Eric Jones, I believe, has spun on the front straightaway.
Oh, boy.
He's coming down through here really slow. Either has a flat tire or is trying to take care of the tires that may be flat spotted, to be able to get back to the pits without any damage.
Oh, yeah.
Up the racetrack. You can see the marks back there.
Is that trying to run the traction compound?
No, I mean, he just pulled on the racetrack. I don't know what happened over there. He's not even really all the way up to speed. See if we can find. He's just way. He's
way up there.
Way up the track in the dirt.
So, to Dale's point about cleaning off, one of the big things that people, I think, don't consider as much, and I didn't when they made the rule change, double file restarts widen racetracks out. Because you're forced, as much as we don't want to be out there, you're not just going to lift and get all single file in one set of corners, right? At some point, someone has to, even if they're off the pace, Dale, and they don't want to be up in the non-preferred lane, it at least cleans it up. And I think it naturally widens the racetrack having these double file restarts. Unfortunately, in practice, to your point, it's as narrow as it's ever going to be because no one's just going to drive up there, or at least not on purpose.
I do know that right before we went back to green right there, I did notice like 3 trucks going through turn 3 and 4 blowing the racetrack off. And I don't know if that got dirt down into the groove or created any kind of challenge for the 43 car. No one else spun out over there. But I'm curious to hear Eric's opinion about what happened.
Eric, another one of those drivers that have found victory lane this year. One of the 19. Taking a look again at the point standings, they were reset to 3,000 for the 12 drivers still in the playoffs, and then all of their playoff points added back in.
And Rick, I think that's the story of the first round to me is we went 3 races. And I know Bubba's in the owner championship, but I look at drivers that have an opportunity to win a championship. All 3 races were won by non-playoff drivers. The first time in this playoff era that has happened. And it's just mind-blowing to me that, normally the playoff guys kind of step up their game, and while they have, it hasn't been good enough to win the first 3 races. It's quite shocking.
They're going to roll again. 2.5 minutes placed on the clock for this, the first group to practice here at Texas. Denny Hamlin cleaning the tires off as he works his way around the apron, coming through 1 and 2. Blend back up onto the racetrack out of 2.
And now 2 minutes, it's just, it's hard, right? You want to use every minute you can, but to go out on the racetrack and get 3 or 4 laps and then try to make really good decisions because of these last 3 or 4 laps can be so difficult. Parker, what are you hearing about Eric Jones in that 43?
Well, speaking of decisions, you guys were wondering what happened there. Well, he decided to go up there and try to get a run, sort of coming to the green, and he said he just lost it. There was no grip up there. So Dave Ellens came on the radio and said, well, maybe we don't do that in qualifying, and Eric responded with, I'm going to stick to the bottom in qualifying. So just no grip up there in that resin.
And I can hear Dave Ellens saying that. Dave is one of those really serious, dry kind of humor. I'm sure it was kind of like, well, maybe we're not going to do that during qualifying today. Denny Hamlin on track again. The clock winding down. Just 1 minute to go in this first practice session. The 23 out on track, and the 23 driven by Ty Gibbs. He'll be racing later this afternoon in the Xfinity Series. Ty subbing for Kurt Busch, still out after his accident at Pocono.
Maybe I'm dreaming it up, but it doesn't seem like Ty has been quite the same on Saturdays since he's been driving this Cup car. I don't know if that's just it's easy to look in the numbers and stats and assign it to something, but I just, it's a lot for a young driver. I mean, this is a young driver early in his career. For him to kind of go out and be asked without a lot of planning, at 19 years old, hey, you're going to run both series now. Basically full time to finish the year. And I know they didn't know where Kurt's going to be, but at some point, if I was on his Xfinity team, I'd be raising my hand and be like, hey, is there another option we could have for this 23? I know it's good for Ty, but man, I'd really like to try to focus on Saturdays and win a championship.
Well, if we all agree to the idea that he's going Cup racing next year, then which one do you want to hurt? Right.
Yeah, right.
Do you want to bother what's going on with the Xfinity deal, or do you want to steepen the learning curve for his Cup year next season, if that's where he ends up in the 18 car, which I think that's where he's going to go. So it's a tough balance. I think you keep him in the Cup car and hope for the best. Just focus hard on that Xfinity stuff.
Group A done, and Group B will be next out on the track from Texas. Group B is rolling onto the 1.5 miles here at Texas Motor Speedway, and about ready to come up to speed is the 18 of Kyle Busch, eliminated after the round of 16, and it was motor issues, and David Wilson of Toyota took it personally, said, I think we took away the opportunity for Kyle Busch to get his 3rd championship, and really it was personal for him.
I think you need to look at Toyota's footprint in NASCAR. We all forget when they came in, it was an uphill battle. They didn't find success right away, right? So it's that kind of that attitude, that kind of perseverance from David Wilson to say, look, you guys can think all you want, but this is not what he would say, but he is the top of TRD, right? So him saying, I am not happy with this, it's unacceptable, we take it personal. That's the kind of fire that needs to be lit sometimes when things go bad. It wasn't because somebody didn't care or didn't want to happen, but the fact is Kyle Busch wrecked on his own at Kansas. That's fair. But 2 blown engines, and it was still only 2 points, right? So you wanted to have Kyle Busch make his last run at Toyota with a chance at a championship. It was while leading at Darlington, you have to add leading. Kansas didn't go right. Toyotas were fast. The 18 of Kyle Busch loses the race car, makes some damage. And then while he wasn't leading at Bristol, he had scored 14 stage points. He had kind of recovered from the first 2 bumps in the road, and I think was well on his way to moving forward in the playoffs and say, whoop, that round is behind us, guys. Let's get refocused. And, 2 engines, look, you're not going to advance. It doesn't matter who wants to take the blame or how upset somebody is. You can't have 2 DNFs because of engines.
Amazingly, attrition came into play quite a bit as far as Kyle Busch not advancing as well.
And he's come to a racetrack where he was pretty much had the All-Star race in control till he had a flat tire, and there was a massive crash into turn 1 between him and Chastain.
Chase shattering the front tires into 1 and 2, like vibration, really bad. And then loose, center out, 3 and 4.
Oh, I would compare your setup to Denny Hamlin's because they sound very consistent.
He's telling that to Ben Bayshore, his crew chief. As we see the 1 of Ross Chastain out on track. The yellow windshield banners, that will signify that they are continuing in the playoffs, as well as the yellow stripe on the spoiler. Ross Chastain and countdown to green. We'll dive a little deeper into who Ross Chastain is with watermelons and winning.
Well, man, call him up and remind him, Rick, after you dig into it, because that's what I need to see out of Ross Chastain. And, man, he upset some people. He sounded a little, I won't say confused, but a little like, who do I want to be in some of his interviews? When he was Ross Chastain, I don't need any friends. I bring my friends to the racetrack. He was winning. He had his winning swagger, and it upset people.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love how he did it.
Yeah.
Dale, you were okay with it, right? But now I need Ross to just pick where he wants to be and dig his heels in, because it seems like trying to be this new Ross doesn't seem to be working as well.
I thought so too, Steve. He didn't have great finishes over the last 10 races, but the last 2 he's back in the top 10. So while I think that Ross may be turning back in the right direction mentally, I'm wondering where this team is, where the pace is overall for Trackhouse. They were amazing when this season started. Give them a lot of credit. Everywhere we went, really fast, but everybody caught up. And we see it time and time again how each organization sort of ebbs and flows in performance throughout the season. Can they peak here late in the year when they really need to and become that great team again?
And when you look forward the Talladega race, obviously the win there for Ross Chastain, that's got to give him a little bit of confidence if you can have confidence with that race coming up next.
That's a good point, Rick. When you go to Talladega with this car, this type of drafting and package that we see, sort of trying to figure out who the good guys are. It kind of changes things just a little bit. And Ross Chastain seems to have a mentality that delivers on the plate tracks of Daytona and Talladega, or could deliver for him next week. This guy right here, I think, is also trying to turn things around and peak at the right time. Hasn't quite had the performance over the last several weeks, but did have good speed at Bristol. Had great speed in practice and saw some of that in the race as well. But
he was barely out of the gas there. This is lap 10 for him, by the way. And in 3 and 4 the last time through, I'm not sure he lifted. And once again, it sounds like he's wide open all the way through 3 and 4.
Yeah, looking at the dots, he went the part throttle, but definitely not all the way out of the gas, to your point, Rick. In the gas the whole way through. I'll add his teammate, who's third right behind him, is two cars that I thought really impressed me. Byron and Bowman came into the playoffs without a whole lot of positives, right? I was looking at the stats, trying to find a way they were going to move forward, and they just showed up. I mean, they just improved in all facets. Qualifying, the race, pit stops. I just felt like these two teams from the Hendrick organization really showed up, Parker.
Just like to let you guys know that our telemetry is lined up perfectly. I'm watching Alex Bowman's telemetry right down here in his pit. He's getting to about 40% throttle down at 3 and 4. So very keen eye there you have, Steve, in terms of his throttle position. So not quite fully out of the throttle, but definitely having to give it a large lift.
The different ways you navigate Texas Motor Speedway, the two different ends here. We're seeing it out of Bowman. Back out on track, the 41 of Cole Custer. 24-year-old out of Ladera Ranch, California. And a lot of questions about Cole Custer after really an unspectacular 2022 for the driver of the 41. Can they find something in these last 7 races?
I mean, they're ready for a reset for sure. I mean, it is just not what they're looking for. I mean, it has improved. You saw the stat, right? 3 top 10s in the last 11. The concern is no top 10 in the previous 41. I mean, that's 3 top 10s in 51 races, 52 races. How long can you just allow that to continue? You know, at one point we thought about the Fords or SHR, but then Kevin Harvick reeled off a couple wins.
Yeah.
And you just can't. I know Kevin Harvick is a spectacular race car driver, but as an organization, I just don't think you can accept teams being that far gapped in performance. I'm not blaming Cole Custer. I don't know what the answer is. Engineering, crew chief, cars, approach. There's a lot of things that go into this, but I think if you're Greg Zipadelli, who basically runs the entire competition side of SHR, you're going to have to sit down this winter and say, okay, guys, our best cars were the 4 and the 14. They made the playoffs. Let's talk about our other cars. How can we close this gap to our own equipment?
Yeah, Briscoe got a win at Phoenix early in the year, and then it was, as you mentioned, the back-to-back wins for Kevin Harvick later in the season that ended that, I guess, that void of his victory lane visits. But gave him a little bit of momentum heading into the playoffs, but then, of course, the 3 races to start off the playoffs eliminated Kevin Harvick. The 2 Richard Childress race cars, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, Harvick, and the driver of the 18, Kyle Busch, all taken out of the playoffs after round 1. And now the focus has to go back to winning races. So the championship's not there anymore, but we got to get back to finding that speed and the ability to win races.
Well, you know, in this 4 car, a lot was made. I know he had the fire, and that was a big conversation at Darlington, and the rule change came out. And I'm okay with kind of how that went. But I don't love what I'm hearing again after Bristol, right? They're talking about the parts on the race car and how this affected them, and they had an issue on the final stop. And just politely, I'll say it. The race win went away when the tire change went from the right front to the left front. It was game over. 4 tires weren't going to win that race. It wasn't going to happen. Watch the 500 laps at Bristol. No tires seemed to matter. So it was either stay on the racetrack to win the race, or if you were concerned about right front tires, just take 2. Now, it's very easy to say that after the event and up here in the TV booth. I've made bigger mistakes. So I'm not judging them like mistakes can't be made. But then I didn't like that then it got pointed to this part or this issue. I'm like, I mean, you're not wrong, but it's just the timing of it all I didn't seem to love. Parker.
Well, speaking of mistakes, Steve, I make mistakes all the time, but a guy who doesn't make many mistakes, Kyle Larson here. So you were, I believe, 10th in the first group there in practice. What are you experiencing grip level-wise out here on this hot track?
For me, I was pretty loose, so we were trying to tighten it up, and I felt like we made some decent adjustments. The last one, when I hit it right, felt better, but it just wasn't, it was hard to kind of predict what the car was going to do, so we'll debrief with our teammates and see what they felt like and see what other adjustments we can make. But overall, I think our car has speed. I would just like to get some more comfort, but it's pretty hot out, so I don't know if you're ever going to get really comfortable, but we'll keep working for it.
Quickly, would you describe them as like edgy, basically?
Yeah, I was pretty edgy for sure. Like 3 and 4, I mean, you got to be committed, and it's dancing. It was kind of bumpy, and then at this end, the entry's so wide and flat that you get loose in, and then on exit, you kind of got something different. So just keep working on the car and see if we can get a little bit better.
Guys, what I take from that is these temperatures will really affect these race cars. Edgy in 3 and 4. That'd be.
So the reigning Cup Series champion sits down on the wall, and we'll take it all in. Austin Dillon won here back in 2020, trying to find those winning ways. Only 3.5 minutes remaining in this practice session for the Cup Series. Coming up next will be Dale Jr. Download, and then Countdown to Green at 3 o'clock as we get ready for the first race for the Xfinity Series playoffs. That's at 3:30 and 6:30. The NASCAR America post-race show, wrapping it all up to see who had a good race, who is in that hole trying to dig out. That all happens this afternoon here on USA as we keep our eye on William Byron. And have things turned around for William Byron since the beginning of the year? He had looked like a slump through the summer. But things seem to be looking better, at least on track right now.
Well, in the first round of the playoffs, he's behind Christopher Bell in the most points earned. So he had a consistent, good, smart first round. And that's what it's going to take to get through the first few rounds. Then you got to get to winner's circle. You got to start really taking control of some of these races. I don't know if they've gotten all the way back there, Steve, but certainly starting to trend in the right direction.
Absolutely. One top 10 in the 18 races leading into the playoffs. One in 18 races. And then he goes top 10, top 10, top 10 in the playoffs. That's to Dale's point, great uptick. I think Dale said it best. Top 10s will get you through, but I don't believe they're going to make anybody down there shaking their boots to think you're that guy that's going to outrun them at Miami. But I think take this momentum and continue to push it forward.
Parker.
And if you guys want evidence of the increase in performance for this 24 car, just look at how many laps he's run in this session. He's had the highest amount of laps at 23 laps. And if you remember in that summer slump, I spent a lot of time with Rudy Fugle and William Byron through some of those races, and they would show up and they just felt so far off. He couldn't run a lot of laps in practice. That sets you behind in these formats. They were always felt like they were playing catch up. They had other issues, but that was really where their weekends were just starting on the wrong foot. And that was the thing they were really working on as they rumbled towards the playoffs. And I just have to say, you look at the consistent finishes in the first round and now showing up here and just being able to run laps in practice from the drop of the green flag, that can show you sort of that increased performance and sort of finding whatever they were looking for and missing in the summer.
All right, so now that you guys are removed from Hendrick Motorsports by a couple years, you're working in the industry, television. All right, answer this question. When this format happened, where you win and you advance to the playoffs, was there testing? Was there things that you guys would work on at different racetracks and be like, okay, we're going to work on this so that we get better and we're prepared for the playoffs? Because a lot of times with Jimmy Johnson, we would be like, oh my gosh, this guy was great to start off the season, got a couple wins, and then all of a sudden it was like he wasn't on the same racetrack that he had been in the previous years. I mean, was there some working toward the playoffs to get prepared for them?
Well, for sure, there's working towards the playoff to get your equipment prepared for them. And I think you also need to understand that, name another sport where a superstar athlete is expected to be on call from February to November. So part of it is win a couple races, get us in the playoffs. And now, look, I'm not saying don't come to the racetrack and let's not try to win, but I might not bother you 5 days a week. I'm not going to roll my eyes as a crew chief if you go take a vacation somewhere. If you cannot, it's great to say, Dale, we're going to try 100% every single week. You run out of gas. It's a long year. Take a little mental break so you are refreshed when you come into the playoffs.
One of the other things, too, is with the older cars, the teams designed a lot of the parts and pieces. And a lot of that stuff, you would like bring your best equipment and your best tricks and gadgets to the playoffs. And teams would all of a sudden, I'd talk to Chase Elliott, and he'd be like, well, we got a new update. Right to the front clip, or we got this. I think that's why we're running better.
Yeah.
Don't have that anymore. You know, basically these teams, it's so much harder to really handicap the field, and I don't expect to see anybody just pop up and start performing better now that we're in the playoffs because they have waited to bring their best stuff. It's the stuff they've had all year. So it's a little tougher, I think, on the crew chiefs and teams to really find an edge.
That's the magic word, right? Michigan used to be the one. We're bringing a new update in the motors and a new update in the cars.
And maybe that's why we had non-playoff drivers win the first 3 races of the playoffs. So we'll see if that changes now that we're into the second round. Qualifying is coming up next.
Night race here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Playoff driver issues already. Kyle Busch out of the race car, out of the race. He's going to be out of the playoffs.
What a crash!
Multiple cars.
Chris Buescher scores the upset. His second career win.
We go from the Bristol night race to Texas Motor Speedway. Take a look at the combined speeds from both practice sessions, Group A and Group B. Looks like Group B a little bit faster with Austin Dillon at 28.77. And then Tyler Reddick, his teammate in Group A, 28.796. Parker.
Well, the guy who won the All-Star race here earlier this year was Ryan Blaney, 7th in the combined charts right there. So what do you think of this fast Ford you have here?
Yeah, I thought our Menards Target Ford Mustang was pretty good. Definitely not 100% happy with it. I don't think anyone is entirely happy with their car. It's just track's really slick. It's hot out here, so went through a few things. Thought we got a little better in practice. Hopefully, you know, they apply to qualifying here and for Sunday. But yeah, it makes the track difficult. You know, it's super slick and doesn't seem like the resin is in yet. So you can't really bail up there and try to find grip or speed. So I think qualifying is going to be really important. Hopefully we can cut a good lap and see what we can do.
How do you tackle this lap? It looks like you guys are lifting a little bit down in 1 and 2, or do you think you're going to have to lift down in 3 and 4 as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think 1 and 2, especially in qualifying, is a tricky corner. 3 and 4, you're going to be wide open in qualifying. So just a matter of, you know, how fast you think you can get into 1 and will the car take it. So you don't get a do-over, so you hope you hit it right and with enough speed.
Are you going to keep that window net up this time?
I'm not touching it.
He told me, guys, he's not going to latch it. Even if he wins, he's going to take it latched all the way to victory lane.
Always interesting to see him smile. Wasn't smiling last week when this happened, Steve.
Yeah, right side went okay. Left side, just the timing is off. You see the hands wave. The left rear not secured. It comes off. This rule has been adjusted. If that happened in his pit stall and that wheel stayed in his pit stall, it would be no penalty. But because it traveled multiple pit boxes, hit the wall, knocked the jack off the wall, and endangered another team, that is what this penalty is all about. These wheels need to be controlled, so it's 4 weeks for a couple pit crew members and his crew chief. Now, this penalty has been appealed. I would love to hear what their argument is. I wish I could sit in the corner of the room and hear what the appeal is. We'll see if that's just a tactic maybe to keep his team together here at Texas, a track that they were looking forward to. That's a great strategy if it's the case, but we'll see. We saw an appeal overturn in the Xfinity Series, so just never know. We'll have to see what the results of the appeal look like.
This is Group A. They will be first out on the track. They're led by Garrett Smithley. He ran a 29.50 for the first lap.
Yeah, and you know, he's in a real tough spot because let's remember the 51, the second Rickway Racing cars damaged it in the garage. So Smithley was probably given very explicit instructions. Hey man, we don't have another backup. We can't have 2 of them in here. So just go out and get your lap in. I only say that in case the 78 runs faster. Garrett was put in a little tough spot there, having his teammate already in the garage.
BJ McLeod now on the clock. Running a very similar lap time here is what we saw out of Garrett.
And I think it's hard for these cars near the back that are here trying to build programs. You can't build programs by damaging cars. And if the 78 ran the best lap of their entire year, or, you know, where is that going to start them? Maybe a handful of spots higher up. So it's all about reserving equipment. Now this is this conversation you and I had, Dale, about Xfinity and Cup, right? This is great Cup experience for Ty Gibbs. They have to go qualify this 23.
Yeah, we all think he's going into the Cup Series next year, so getting time in this car is really important, but likely is probably having a negative effect on his opportunity to try to go win that Xfinity Series championship, but has a pretty good lap going here.
Yeah, I think he's going to show us what the track has in it. I think it's going to take, definitely, 28.3 or 4 probably to get out of this round. There's a 28.8 right there.
And as we see him slow down after that lap, let's go back into the garage area down on pit road. Parker standing by with the most recent winner.
Bristol winner, Chris Buescher, my man. How's this week been? Had to be awesome.
Been awesome. Yeah, definitely. It's been a lot of fun at the shop. Got to celebrate with everybody back there, have a little get together. Been busy for all the right reasons. And then I find myself sitting there on a mower Thursday riding around like every other week. So,
well, didn't you deal with some balloons in your motorhome or something?
Yeah, there's a couple hundred balloons in the motor. I walked in, we got to the racetrack. It's about 4 foot high, cab to bedroom, all the way through. So it felt like a slasher flick going through there, stabbing them, trying to get rid of them. It was awful.
Well, let's talk about your race car here today. What do you expect here in qualifying?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a pretty good fast-on Mustang. Practice there, started off pretty tight, working through some of the stagger changes that have been thrown at us since Michigan, I believe. So still working on getting those better. I feel like we made some good changes here, so going to watch a few of these cars on some SMT and get ready to make a lap.
Hey guys, I think clearing up balloons from winning in your motorhome, that's a pretty good problem to have.
Man, I would have turned all them things loose. I know they didn't have any helium in them, so they just laying on the ground. I would have sent them out across the interior of the racetrack, let them deal with it.
You just kick them out of the bus.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Here's some balloons, everybody.
Yeah, everybody chasing balloons around a racetrack. So we see Almirola now on the clock. Todd Gilliland just finishing up his lap, 29.15.
Chris made an interesting comment there about the stagger, right? So stagger, basically the difference between the left side rollout and right side rollout. Right side tires are bigger. Just a kind of fundamental shift midsummer was for less overall stagger. Cars a little more secure, but don't want to turn quite as well. That's a real general type statement, but that's what most of the guys in the garage have been talking about. This less stagger has kind of forced these guys to develop a little bit different setup.
Harry's car jumped up the racetrack in the middle of 1 and 2. A little bit uncomfortable down there.
Everyone's going to be fighting to be inside the top 5 of this Group A. The top 5 will advance to the second round of qualifying. Here comes Eric Jones.
Eric's first lap's back on the track since I think he spun the car out in practice. I don't believe they got back on the track after that, and said he got up in the marbles trying to get a run on the high side.
So what's your approach then, Dale? Like as a driver, do you just forget about it and go, or are you a little more cautious?
Well, I think that he goes right to it. Has the confidence that the team's checked the car over and everything's going to be fine there, and you pull off on the racetrack and you immediately start sort of doing a wellness check of the race car, all the sounds and vibrations and everything you're feeling, just making sure nothing feels odd, or you head on down into turn 3 and 4 and stay in the gas.
So when Eric got that win just a couple races ago, Noah Gregson went over to the winning crew chief's house, who he used to know very well, Dave Ellens' house, and he toilet papered the house. And so that was kind of Noah Gregson's fun of, with the Ellens family. Well, the Ellens family, after Noah won, they decided, we'll show you. You came and toilet papered our house. They took balloons, like we were talking about earlier, filled them with glitter, and then took little containers that you would put ketchup or something in, filled those with glitter, and completely covered the floor of Noah Gregson's house. Completely. Said, let's see how you like glitter inside your house compared to toilet paper outside of ours. So they took it up to a new level as far as when you win, what you do to different people's houses. And that is the first few steps that person has not been sprinting through the garage right now. One of the Trackhouse crew members running back into the garage to grab those tools.
And some setup equipment. It's probably going to slide over the wheel nut on either the front tires, and then you can measure toe or alignment, maybe both of them down the left side. We'll see what they do. But I'll admit, Rick, it was full effort all the way down into the garage.
Yeah, all the way into the garage and then back out until we came back from commercial break there, and then he started to walk. But we see Brad Keselowski has to be very proud of what his organization, RFK, was able to do a week ago.
Bittersweet, though, because I thought it was going to be Brad there for a little bit. He kind of went up, took the lead, And I think he had car enough if they just didn't have those issues. I think he had a tire issue while leading. So went to victory lane, put a nice smile on, but it had to sting to see the first RFK win go to the 17 car.
We're comparing now to 5th, and that is Eric Jones, who's just been pushed back down to that 5th spot because of the lap Keselowski put up at a 28.69. Is there a number you're expecting to see in these first 2 rounds? Is it going to be, 28.2, 28.3?
I think fast time is going to be probably a 3 or a 4. I think you need to run at least in the 28.5s if you think you have a real solid chance of advancing. Like Jones, Almirola, Gibbs, I don't feel great about. Even that lap by Keselowski, 28.69, almost a 7. I don't think that's going to get it. I think there's going to be a bunch of cars that are going to file in front of them.
I want to go back to the tire issues we had last week at Bristol. We really didn't see that coming. Like, we felt like the teams had learned really kind of where the danger zone was and air pressures and so forth and settings that would create those kind of problems. And then we come to Bristol. Nobody had really seen nobody dealt with the car at Bristol. That was a new experience for all the teams, and they learned that they were too aggressive in some areas. We saw some tire issues in the All-Star race here. We had cars have right rears, right front issues. Although that was a cooler event, ran at night, a little bit faster, more load, so forth. Steve, when you come back here, do you have any concern?
I don't. We heard the interview there about the stagger chain. Goodyear's brought a different tire. I think they've learned some things. The teams have learned some things. I agree with you. I didn't see it happening at Bristol. But that track is really unlike anywhere else, and I just think it's really tough to model. We haven't been anywhere to say, hey, let's pay attention to Bristol. That could be an issue. I think Texas, now that we're coming back for the second time, these teams are going to make adjustments. But we've had this conversation many times in our first half. The tracks I was worried about weren't an issue. Tracks like Bristol, I didn't have much concern, were an issue. We'll just have to see if the teams have accepted it.
Here comes Ryan Blaney. And right now trending almost 0.2 of a second faster than Almirola. Again, we're comparing to 5th.
And not as fast as I expected him to be. Gaining a little bit of time through here, but still not going to be quick enough.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to feel great about that lap as we continue on here. We got, 5 more to go. Parker.
Currently the fastest is an RCR car of Tyler Reddick, but another car that was very fast in practice was the 3-car Austin Dillon. You guys have just shown up here with a ton of speed.
Yeah, we were able to lay a lap down, and funny part is we're not really close as far as setup goes. So, the guys did a good job. True Velocity Chevy's pretty stout. I was more worried about just holding on long run, but we had one run in there that I felt pretty good about that we held on. So now we got to back up what we did in practice and go lay down a lap and try and get in those the fast 5.
You think you got a threat for the pole?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, we'll see, guys. These RCR cars are quick.
Kind of nonchalant there. Yeah, I think so. They were in the playoffs until last week, but now both Reddick and Austin Dillon eliminated. Coming off of the news that Kyle Busch will be joining RCR in 2023. Now we have Joey Logano on track.
And this is one I think is going to really set the number. A little high on exit right there is going to hurt his time. He had to get out of the gas just for a second.
So far, Gibbs now in that 5th spot, and Logano trying to bump him out with this lap. A little over 1/10 of a second faster.
We had a debate on what the lap time would be, Rick. I figured there was going to be a lot more pickup, but you had mentioned you thought the heat going up was going to take away some of the grip, and I think that's what we're seeing. Usually we see 4, maybe 0.5 of a second from race practice to qualifying, but right here it's just not there, or these cars haven't made the adjustments they've wanted. We'll see if Group B has the same issue, or if they maybe got their balance a little closer on the warmer track.
Here's Denny Hamlin, and they struggled in that practice session, the 20-minute practice session that they were able to get out there for. Couldn't find grip in either turn 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, but we're seeing him trend in the green. Then he lost a little bit coming off of 4.
Interesting telemetry there with Denny running the throttle and the brake at the same time, using just a little brake to actually slow the car down without lifting.
Inside the top 5 for now. Still have Bell and Larson to go.
Yeah, so Reddick, Logano, and Brad Kay, they know that they're in, right? With only 2 to go, they can't be eliminated.
And the other one in this group is Cody Ware, who, again, they had an issue in practice, so he won't go. Won't be able to be on track for qualifying. So we see Bell in the red.
RFK, man, shook this thing up a little bit today. Putting a couple cars in the top 5 here.
Toyotas have been so fast at Michigan and Kansas. It just proves how much different this racetrack is with this flat 1 and 2 bank 3 and 4. It takes a different approach. And to your point, Junior, right, only Hamlin inside the top 5 currently, with Gibbs, Wallace, and Bell all outside.
So Hamlin will be in the top 5 with only 1 car still to go. Larson trying to find a little more speed there as he exits turn 2, and down the backstretch he goes. He's in the green, looking good.
Yeah, that was a great 1 and 2. Flying off of turn 2 there. Didn't know if that car was going to maintain through the corner, but does a good job down here just kind of settling in.
That's going to push Buescher out of the top 5. And Larson joins the top 5 from Group A that will advance. Reddick, Larson, Logano, Keselowski, and Hamlin. They'll move on to round 2. Group B now on the clock for their qualifying runs. And the first one out on the track for Group B is Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Yeah, Stenhouse was 4th quick in this group at about a 29 flat. We'll see if he could pick up some speed. 29 flat. It took a 28.72 to make the top 5 in the first group. We'll see if that's the same or if this group runs a little quicker.
Group B had the faster 1 lap time with Austin Dillon. We'll see if he's able to do that again. Match that. As Stenhouse Jr. goes 28.94.
Yeah, I don't believe that is going to work. Too many cars in the 29.0s in practice. I just can't imagine that speed would be enough to go through, but we'll see. 16 of Noah. Now, he was 16th out of 18. So he definitely didn't have the raw speed on the fastest lap. So this is actually a pretty big improvement. That car moving around a little bit down into the corner. So he's just guarding against it, right? Like it just doesn't run through the banked end of the racetrack with a ton of speed. Parker.
Catching up here of Chase Briscoe, and we were just talking about maybe expecting the speeds to have picked up more. What are you seeing out there, and what do you expect when you get in this 14 car?
Yeah, first off, just want to say thoughts and prayers still with our buddy DJ Vanderlei, who was hurt at the dirt track the other night. But yeah, I thought that the speeds would definitely pick up a little bit more in qualifying, and I think the track's just getting hotter, and the PJ1's not really came in yet, so the grip level just keeps going down until that stuff comes in. So yeah, see what our Rush Truck Center's Ford has. We were decent in practice. We weren't great, so we threw some things out of here in qualifying. Hopefully it'll be all right. But yeah, this place in qualifying, it's all about 1 and 2. How much speed you can carry down there. So yeah, we're driving off in there and see if it sticks. Hopefully it does, and yeah, just hopefully the track will widen out. I think it will. Just it's going to take some time.
Steve, what I take from that, and just more conversations I've had down here, I think everyone's scratching their head a little bit as to where the speed has gone in this racetrack.
Well, track temperature does it. It's bright in the middle of the day. And I do agree with what he said. I think the track will widen out. We're going to get some racing on it. Some, double file restarts will widen this groove out a little bit. Plus some ill-handling race cars on old tires.
Just saw Noah Gragson run. He went 29.10. He'll be racing later this afternoon, the Xfinity Series race. Now it's Landon Castle on the clock. Landon a second and a half off of what the fast lap so far has been turned with Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, that's a pretty slow lap for the 77. Much slower than even ran in practice.
Here's Austin Dillon. Mentioned he had the fastest lap in Group B. We'll see how close he comes or if he can back that up.
Right now trending in the wrong direction off turn 2 down the back straightaway. Still losing a little bit of time. Sends it off into turn 3. Gaining it back now off corner exit here. Shows you how maybe Truex didn't get off the corner very well.
A little bit faster than what he ran in practice, 28 28.77 is what he did in practice earlier. Now a 28.71.
And we heard his teammate Reddick talking about how well the car was getting through the bumps in 3 and 4, and that was not the challenge for the 3 car. He got through the middle of the corner of the bumps really well. All the other cars are going to be struggling with the bumps. Could be an advantage to the RCR guys on race day tomorrow.
How difficult is it for Kyle Busch to come to Texas after the announcement he's going to go to RCR in 2023, that weight off his shoulders, but then at the same time not advancing out of the first round of the playoffs and coming here knowing that he doesn't have a championship to fight for anymore this year?
I think it keeps the streak alive and non-playoff drivers winning a race, because this guy very well could come in here. He ran great in an all-star race, controlled the first stage, got in a flat tire right rear flat, stage 2 that caused a big crash, but had the pace in that car to win. Parker.
And on the flip side, the 18 one of the most consistent teams in the first round of the playoffs was the 24 William Byron. You guys are pretty quick in practice. Can you keep up that speed in qualifying?
Yeah, I hope so. You know, hopefully make the right adjustments and have a good balance on our car. And you just got to commit. So hopefully our Raptor Chevrolet is able to commit. I'm able to commit and put a good lap in and get a good pit stall and all those things that come with it. So yeah, I'm excited. Our team's been on a good stretch lately. Really consistent, third at Bristol. So we just got to keep it up.
Guys, I like that word commit. That's the qualifying sessions I love to watch. And the drivers have to get in there and just think, I got to do this thing. Commit to it.
LaJoie runs 1.2 seconds faster than his teammate, but he's still not inside that top 5 as we see Harrison Burton now on track. Harrison was our Uber driver this morning to get to the racetrack.
Did a nice job. It's good to spend some time with Harrison on the ride in.
Yeah.
He's talking about his test down in Miami, how it went for the last couple days. There was a bunch of cars testing down there, and what he had learned that he hoped that he could take back. Also what he had learned that maybe he could bring here. Looks like so far so good. He's going to be easily in the top 5 at least for now.
2.5 tenths of a second faster than Gregson, so that bumps him out. And Stenhouse Jr. now is on that bubble. Harrison to 4th. Here's Michael McDowell. 15th in the All-Star race here earlier.
This great year for the 34 car just continues. You know, they had a little penalty in the middle of the year. I didn't know if that was going to take away some of the speed, but it really didn't. The 34 continues to impress. It's going to be a big lap right here if he can have a good 3 and 4. This might be the fastest we've seen out of each group. It's going to be real close to fast as Austin Dillon.
Great lap there from Michael McDowell as he is second quick in this group at a 28.72. Group B qualifying continues as you see Chase Elliott strapped in and ready to go. He'll be going out in just a little bit. Right now it's Cole Custer who will be on the clock. Again, the way the qualifying works from each group, the playoff drivers will always go at the end of each group to give them as equal of an opportunity against each other as you can have. So we see Cole Custer on the clock. Cole 8th last week, was just his 3rd top 10 of the season. He's got a best finish here of 14th. As we see him right now just outside of the top 5. And going the wrong direction as he comes to the finish line. So Cole Custer will be 7th. Comes Kevin Harvick. Track's starting to get a little bit darker where they were running in that bottom groove, putting a little more rubber down on the racetrack.
Here's just a great view out the front windshield and at the driver doing the work, working that steering wheel.
Yeah, that camera angle from the back looking out right past you was pretty cool. You have to kind of see the car moving around.
Look at how hard he's working on that steering wheel. We came to a piece of grass there that I think you were pretty familiar with. Didn't you catch that piece of grass here at Texas once?
Oh yeah, yeah. It'll sneak up
going
on you.
for a pass.
Yep, it's down there.
We don't want to talk about it, Rick.
It's down there.
Yeah, Rick, you'll be doing these last few cars by yourself.
28.99 for Kevin Harvick. He does not break into that top 5 as Alex Bowman will now take to the track, and he will be on the clock here to see what he can do.
Yeah, and I believe this 48, second in practice. Look at the throttle commitment in 3 and 4. Minimum speeds well over 180 miles an hour. Slots him into the 4th position.
P4 right there.
28.83.
I think they would probably want a little more than that. Got some heavy hitters coming up here that are making it tough for that team to stay in the top 5.
How about Austin Cindric and advancing out of the first round into the second round, the 24-year-old out of Mooresville, North Carolina. Rookie of the year. Cindric starting the season off with a win in the Daytona 500. And across the stripe he goes, and that will put him 3rd with 5 drivers still to go. Suarez, Briscoe, Chastain, Byron, and Elliott.
And to your point, Junior, Bowman can't feel very good as Kyle Busch is now eliminated. Harrison as well. Bowman, can't feel great about being right there on the bubble with that list of drivers that Rick just gave us. See telemetry in the bottom right was struggling with us a little bit there. We'll see what kind of lap he has. It looked okay in 1 and 2. Look at his throttle commitment down here in 3 and 4. Oh boy.
Committed.
Yeah, 183. We saw 181 on the Bowman car, so definitely a better turn 3. Let's see what the lap is. Yeah, there you go. 2nd quick.
And 3/1000ths of a second separate Austin Dillon and Suarez now.
He had a good run in the All-Star race as well. Top 5 pace the whole time.
Chase Briscoe, we heard from him. He had mentioned an injured crew member. There's a dirt track out here outside the racetrack. Christopher Bell's putting on a micro. It's kind of like a smaller sprint car. A bunch of drivers that take apart, some of their sons. I saw Kyle Busch's son went to victory lane. Well, an engineer on the Xfinity team had an accident that required some surgery. So Chase was thinking about him. We're all thinking about him. Hopefully he can recover as quickly as possible. We'll see what this lap is for Chase Briscoe.
He's way up the track. He's off both corners. He's real wide and high. Not very happy with the way that car's driving, and I don't think the lap's going to reflect it.
No, not at all.
What happened there? 29.18.
Yeah, he in the throttle coming off turn 2, he was not able to commit, and the car was washing way out to the fence. Looked tight to me, but same thing down in turn 3 and 4, way up the racetrack. Ross Chastain was one of the cars that really put on a show in the All-Star race. The only time we've been to Texas earlier this year. Big crash on the front straightaway took him out. But I believe that he might have had the pace, one of the few cars that might have had the pace to match the 12 car of Ryan Blaney. His teammate went out there and put down a great lap. Suarez in 2nd.
Yeah, a mile an hour slower than Suarez, but not way off. This should be a good lap for the 1 as well. There you go, jumps in front of Truex.
Bumps Truex out of the top 5. Chastain is in. 2 cars still to go with William Byron.
And the lap times, man, look at that, Rick. 71, 4
4/100ths of a second separating the top 5.
4/100ths.
And pretty consistent. A 7.23 in the first round, a 7.53, right? So assuming Byron or Elliott continue to improve, both rounds are going to be pretty consistent on what it took to make the Fast 5. Trying to get him the championship 5. Not quite yet.
William Byron would appreciate that.
Yeah. That's a pretty good looking clean
lap. Yeah, good lap here.
Yeah, I would say so.
Top of the chart, 28.58 for William Byron. That just throws all those numbers we had out the window. 0.2 of a second, almost faster than 5th now is William Byron.
And this is the guy that I'm wondering what's going on, especially this racetrack. You know, he's got a great position to make it all the way to the final, but he's not really got the statistics to really be, excited about here in Texas. But they've had speed. They just have had some weird things happen to them in these races that have taken them out of great finishes. Even in the All-Star race earlier, they had great speed. Got wiped out.
Another good-looking lap here for Hendrick Motorsports. That will put him 3rd, and that moves Cindric out of the top 5. So it's Byron, Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez, and Michael McDowell, the top 5 in Group B. So now the fastest 10 are set. We will find out who the fastest here is this weekend. Coming up next, after 400 episodes, it's the best of Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Dale Jr. download at 2:30, and then Countdown to Green, 3 o'clock. Xfinity Series playoffs kick off from right here at Texas Motor Speedway at 3:30, and we'll wrap it up with NASCAR America post-race show at 6:30. I want to take a look at top 5 from both groups that will advance into this final round of qualifying. It was Tyler Reddick fastest in Group A at a 28:59, and William Byron a 28:58. So very close from each group. Parker.
And Denny Hamlin was the last one to make it through the first group. So what more do you need inside this race car to improve that position here in the second round?
Yeah, it's just got to get the balance better through 3 and 4. I think we've really got a good car through 1 and 2. It's just right now, if we're going to stay on the pole, we got to be like a 1/10 and a half faster than everyone else before we get to turn 3. So if we can just hem that up and get that a little better, I think it's all uphill or downhill from here. I'm not sure which one.
Maybe uphill. I like that. So talking about turns 3 and 4, I was talking to Tyler Reddick. He was mentioning he felt he was flat out, but he wasn't quite flat out. Are you trying to be flat down there? Was it easy flat? What's the situation down there? How do you find more speed?
I'm not even contemplating flat.
Not even close.
Not even remotely close. That's so, yeah, I'm going to need a lot more grip through 3 and 4 before I can even think about whether I'm flat or not.
All right, let's talk about the importance of qualifying position here in just this race, in this round. This is the one you can control your destiny. So how badly do you want to start up front?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we're going to be in the top 10, which is good. And so I need to just anything we can improve from here is going to be a little bonus. So certainly I thought we were very, very good during the All-Star race. Conditions obviously quite a bit different, but still I thought our car went through traffic well. So I think if we can just get somewhere towards the front here and maintain track position all day, I think we're going to be in contention.
Guys, I think he's in the zone right now trying to figure out what he needs to do down in turns 1 and 2. It sounds like that's going to be an important set of corners for his lap.
In the zone. I think that's what every athlete wants to be, is in the zone. And qualifying coming up here in just a moment. We'll find out who wins the pole as well as the top 10 starting positions. And again, when you come to Texas Motor Speedway, I know a lot of people, family members, like to race over at the dirt track here at Texas Motor Speedway. One of those that were racing on Thursday was DJ Vanderlei, an engineer for Stewart Haas Racing. He was severely injured in a micro sprint outlaw accident again on Thursday night while competing at that track. His wife, Jordan, actually has updated her Facebook page. She's been telling us his conditions. He had surgery on Friday, and she said the surgery went as well as possible. So everyone in the garage, as well as all friends, family members, all hoping for the best for DJ Vanderlei. Tomorrow, a busy day on USA for the Cup Series. It all starts with Countdown to Green at 2:30. Cup Playoff Series racing at 3:30 and 7:30. We wrap it up with NASCAR America post-race show. Looking forward to Countdown to Green tomorrow. Ryan Blaney, the winner of the All-Star race from here earlier this year, he's going to join Junior and Jeff at the front of the grid. We get to see a little bit more about Ross Chastain, watermelons and winning, and of course Denny Hamlin from back in 2010. How it happened, that win for Denny. Parker.
Well, Rick, for Michael McDowell's 34 team into the second round, normally, in years past, I'd be like, wow, what a great job. But in 2022, I expect you guys to be here. How cool is that?
I expect it too. We got such a great program here at Front Row Motorsports, and really proud of Blake Harris and all the guys on this Love Travel Stop Ford Mustang. I expect it too. I mean, we've been fast this year. We've had speed. We've made it to the second round several times. So it's nice to do it here in Texas, and we'll see. Maybe we got enough speed here to get a shot at the pole or a top 5 starting spot.
All right, how do we tackle this lap? A lot of drivers talking about 3 and 4, maybe being flat or just having a tiny lift. What are you going to do here?
Yeah, you got to hold it wide open and run scared. That's what I did last time. I was shaking when I was done. So I don't know if everybody else was, but that's what I had to do, and we'll have to do it again, see what happens.
These laps are high commitment, shaking when they get done, guys. I can't wait to see this last round.
You got to push it right to the edge every lap of qualifying. So that's what these drivers will have to do. He said he was shaking at the end of his qualifying run. the first one that's going to go out on the track.
Well, you said push right to the edge. I know turns 1 and 2 are a little different, but 3 and 4 still looks the same. Michael McDowell qualifying here at Texas. It doesn't matter how many times you see it, it's breathtaking. So like I said, that was entrance to turn 1. I mean, look at this accident, just unbelievable. But that's the commitment into turn 3, right? It's the same idea, Dale. I mean, turn 3 is the kind of the same speed he had right there going into turn 1. So,
and remember, he walked away from that. Like, he literally got himself out of the car and walked away.
That was back when the speeds were so fast here that the drivers and the crews actually were pushing the brakes back. And he went down in that corner and needed a little bit of brake, and he went to mash the brake pedal, and it went to the floor because the brake pucks were pushed so far back. Because any kind of friction or anything might slow the car down. And they were all I have that car over in the junkyard if you want to come look at it, Steve.
Do you?
Yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I didn't know that. That sounds like a field trip. I'm in. All right, Denny said he was really good at this end, the flatter end of the racetrack. It was 3 and 4 that his car just didn't have the balance he's looking for. We have seen about 183 or 84 minimum speed of some of our best qualifiers. Let's see what he drops to. Man, all the way down to 180. So this lap will definitely not match the speed of, say, Bowman and some of the cars we saw earlier. See what the overall time is. 28.87. Yeah, no, I expect the pole to be faster, actually. I think these guys are going to find, well, at least as fast. Something in the, 50s, high 50s to low 60s probably will sit on the pole.
So can they match the speed that they ran in the first round, even with that lap or two on their tires?
Well, I think you're going to need to. Let's see what Denny Hamlin. Denny ran a 70.
You would love that. Yeah, you would love to be able to go out there and match your lap. I don't know. I mean, the track does have some age, and I think the tire does fall off just a little bit here. We saw almost 8/10, I guess, in 23 laps, 25 laps of practice. So
Keselowski ran a 28.69 in the first round.
There you
don't
go.
do it. Look at there.
28.57.
How'd he do that?
10th quicker.
How'd he do it? What made him go 10th faster?
Adjustments, balance. He knows what he has. I don't know. It sounded good, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and the reason I go back is practice. Like some guys, second and third laps were their fastest lap on the racetrack, surprisingly.
Good point. Yeah.
Here's Logano and trending in the green through 1 and 2.
Had a little issue there. You see the time affected by it. A little wide off of turn 2. Trying to maintain down here.
Brad must have got through this end of the racetrack really good.
It's a couple hundredths faster. All it takes.
There he goes. There's another car, 28.60. He had run a 67. So no, not as big a pickup as Brad, but still faster.
See what Larson has if he's able to continue the trend. 28.66 in the first round.
Oh, it looks high.
Yeah, coming out of 2, he's going to lose what he was trying to gain there through the center.
You see how much it hurt him. I mean, momentum down the backstretch. This is going to be probably the slowest lap of the guys so far, maybe a little slower than Denny.
And so, you know, the reason why you don't want to have that mistake off 2 is because you're really on the throttle so much in 3 and 4, you never can fix that problem. Not only can you not gain it back, Rick, but you can't stop the loss of time all the way back to the flag stand. Everybody that beats you off 2 is going to continue to beat you all the way around till you get that checker flag.
Here's Reddick, and in the green right away, but he's losing a little of it as he exits 2. And is this going to be the same trend? All the way down the backstretch, losing time.
I'm sure there's some spotters and crew chiefs taking note, telling their drivers where the mistakes are being made or where guys are struggling.
It's been quite the 7 days for the group at Roush Fenway Keselowski. Buescher goes to victory lane. We come here to Texas and through 5 cars, Brad Keselowski is the fastest.
Now it's Michael McDowell.
Everybody goes green on entry and then loses it on exit. That tells me that because we're comparing to Brad. So Brad must back that corner up just a little bit more than all of these guys and got a great run off, to your point, Dale, and carry that momentum all the way around the last 2/3 of the lap.
And they're not going in the corner like, I'm going to outdo Brad.
Yeah, right.
They're just going in the corner where they feel like the car should stick, right? They're going in there enough. They're not overdriving the car, but Brad did back the corner up and make it work.
McDowell fourth now with his 28.71.
And this entrance to one, let's watch Suarez right here. Like, you're kind of driving off into no man's land. Look how wide it is turning down in there. It just doesn't look natural.
Honestly, without the treatment on the racetrack, I think they'd make it even worse, right? That treatment at least gives you some reference.
Oh, he had to burp it a little bit there as he came out of 2.
Yeah. Everybody's had the same issues there. That's really telling. I'm surprised by that. It's been rampant throughout all the guys in the top 10. Struggling with that, and that's what we're going to see in the race too. Imagine having 5, 10, 15, 20 cars in front of you off that corner, trying to exit that corner without any air or downforce.
Yeah. 29.12, and now just 3 cars remain. Elliott, Dillon, and Byron, as we saw Keselowski looking on.
So Chase not to the green quite as well, but then started trending the right way for a minute.
Couldn't get off of 2.
And then to Dale's point, I think we know that Brad was really good in 3 and 4, so I just don't think there's a huge advantage. Look, it just continues to bleed time slowly, but that all goes back to that moment off from turn 2. I think William Byron he ran a 28.58, so he was only 100th off what Keselowski had run. We'll see if he has anything left in his car. Dillon as well ran a 71, which is almost what Keselowski had run in the first round. So see if he can find the same amount of pickup.
Didn't quite get to the green through 1 and 2, and now trending the wrong direction.
Keselowski had a career 1 and 2, it seems like. His car really changed direction and accelerated great.
And as much as I'd like to credit the car, I think you got to give Brad a lot of credit for
absolutely
backing that corner up just the right amount to be able to make the rest of the lap as good as it was. Good, smart driving.
One more car. There's the driver owner, Brad Keselowski, after last week going to victory lane for driver Chris Buescher. He went there as owner. Now, will the owner driver win the pole? Oh, Byron in the green.
Oh, boy. Oh, he's losing it now.
It's going to be close.
He's all over the top of it. Can he find something down here that Brad didn't find?
In the red, going the wrong direction.
Oh, man.
It is really close. And Keselowski stays on top. Byron is third. They've won the pole. 18th pole for Brad Keselowski, and that's the first time that he has won a pole as being driver owner of RFK Racing. Parker.
Yeah, catching up here. High fives all around. Brad, your first pole for RFK. What's this mean to you?
Oh, it's good. You know, we want to win, but you got to start somewhere. And you know, we had a good test last week at Homestead. Learned a bunch. We really needed that, and now we're able to apply it here at Texas with our RFK number 6 Ford here. So we'll see. 500 miles on Sunday. A little different than qualifying, but a great start for us for sure.
You guys get the win last week. I know this has been a building process. What's it like for you to see the results that you guys are getting now?
Yeah, it's a lot of pain, Parker, a lot of pain, and now we're starting to feel the gains from it. You know, I think Dustin Long there at NBC, you know, it's just like working out. It sucks. It really does. But then when you get done, you get out of the gym and you feel better a week or two later, you start to see the results, and that's what we're getting as a team.
All right, give me a primer for tomorrow. We know this groove will most likely move around. What are you going to need out of this race car to be successful with those 500 miles?
Yeah, you're going to have to be versatile. You know, you're going to have to be able to run the top or the bottom. Well, really not the top, but the PJ1 in the bottom. And, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on the Xfinity race here in just a little bit to see what we can learn. But, you know, it's Texas is a really tough track. And as hot as it is this weekend, it's just going to make it that much tougher.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Parker.
He talked about it. It's like you putting the effort in at the gym and then seeing the results after all of that effort has been put in. You take a look at this season with RFK Racing. In the first 15 races, of course, the 30 starts, only 4 top 10s and 88 laps led. Then you look at the last 14 races and what they've been able to do. 9 top 10s, a win with Buescher a week ago, and 298 laps led. And as you guys both mentioned, Brad looked like that was a race he could have won as well if it wouldn't have been for a tire issue.
Yeah, their average finish has improved 2 whole positions, which is quite a bit difficult to do in this series. And this team's turning around way faster than I expected. I thought it would take a little bit more time, but they're doing some amazing work over there.
Yeah, I've talked to a bunch of people that have been longtime employees, and they said it's more than just on the racetrack. The shops look different. They feel different. They have a sense of pride, polish, fresh paint. All of that kind of tips into the care you take in your race car. When you walk in, you feel great about working there. It definitely moves you forward and really want to be great about working the race car. And I'm going to talk about great partners. Man, Brad right there, that King's Hawaiian Roll fire suit did make me a little hungry. Those things are scrumptious.
As he is talking with Jack Roush right there. It is an all-Ford front row. Joey Logano will start next to Brad Keselowski, and Joey is with Parker.
Right, Rick, his former teammate at Team Penske. You and I were watching those laps. It's like 3 and 4. It was just so close. What do you need to do?
I thought I had it until I didn't. Guys gave me a really fast race car. It's fast in race trim as well. And I thought I had a decent 1 and 2, and I just had to come out of the gas just a touch in 3 and 4. And maybe that was enough to be the difference. It's hard to say. I mean, it's just a squeak. But dang, I wish I kind of could have that lap back. But like I said, Paul did a great job getting our car much better than what it was the first time we were here, to where it doesn't even feel like I have less grip with the hotter temperatures. So, yeah. I wish we were starting first. It's a Ford front row. That's good. Just the wrong Ford. But that's all right.
Tell me about those Fords. I mean, you guys showed up here with a ton of speed. You were fast at Bristol. What's this mean for Ford? You're seeing this in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we're peaking at the right time. It's hard to say, like, who's the strongest right now. It just seems like it's different week by week. And you can be great just with a couple of adjustments and be horrible with a couple of adjustments. It's so close. The field's so tight. And if your balance is off just a little bit, you qualify 15th. It's that close right now.
We got a grueling 500 miles tomorrow. It's 93 degrees, possibly 96 tomorrow. How do you tackle that?
I have to drink a lot of fluids and get a lot of rest. It'll be fine. Hey, it's what makes this race special. 500 miles here is tough. It's grueling. It's what you're going to have a lot of strategy options come into play with not much tire fall off. It's going to be a lot of options there. So there's points you're going to be leading. There's points you're going to be back in 15th or 20th, and it's just how you manage the race. So hopefully the experience helps me on that side.
I like that. And you managed the race there, as he talked about, just being in the game the whole time, guys.
Okay, take a look at the starting grid, and the name at the top of the list here is one that has not won in 2022. Could he be the 20th different winner this season with Brad Keselowski?
Looks like he's prepared to do that. I mean, I didn't think that they would come here with the type of pace to be able to claim winning potential, but after last week, got a chip on his shoulder. Feels like he had a race won. Brought a fast car.
Michael McDowell also up there inside the top 3 rows.
Surprised to see Blaney back here, row 7. I thought, after the All-Star performance and the way Penske's ran here, they'd come here with more speed. I'm sure they still think they've got good race pace, but hard to pass here. Might be a long day before he finds his way toward the front.
And we talked about strategy. With the tire fall off, it's going to be hard when you put those tires on. Bowman back there in row 9. Christopher Bell back in row 11. That is not what a playoff driver wants to see, is 21 cars in front of him when he takes the green flag. But he's not the worst of the playoff cars. Behind him even further is Chase Briscoe. Just shocking to see Briscoe back in row 15.
Yeah, next to Corey LaJoie, as we see Haley Dillon back there. Landon Castle, Cody Ware rounding out the 36-car field. So with this, the first race of the round of 12, you once again look at the points coming in and what you have to do here at Texas.
I've said this is the most important race in the playoffs other than Phoenix, in my opinion. You have Talladega and the Roval coming. Dale said at the top of the show that, people think they can run good at the Roval, but you never know. We could get rain at the Roval. Anything can happen at the road course. We have Talladega, which you can get caught up in somebody else's mess. If I could win a race other than Phoenix, this would be the race. You're through this round. You can start working on the next round, start thinking ahead to what it might be like to make it to Phoenix. I think for a playoff driver, this is the most important.
Also, if your car isn't perfect, don't make it worse. Yeah. This is where championships are made. If you come in here and don't have top 5 pace, do the best you can. Get the most out of the day. Don't torpedo this round worried about next week in the Roval. Get out of here with something that you can salvage and move forward.
So you're hoping that all of these drivers and teams will listen to that message and not do something to kill their chances of a championship. Well, there's more NASCAR coverage available on NBCSports.com. Coming up next on USA, it's the best of Dale Jr. download. The best we saw today was Brad Keselowski. After going to victory lane a week ago with Chris Buescher driving for RFK, now it's Brad Keselowski who goes out and wins the pole at Texas Motor Speedway. He'll bring the field to the green flag tomorrow.